In the winter of 1932, a railway mechanic named Michael Unterguggenberger walked into a town hall in Austria and printed his own money. Not counterfeit, not a scam. Official currency stamped and signed for a town of 4,300 people. And within a year, economists were calling it a miracle. The strange part isn't that homemade money worked, it's why it had to be destroyed. To understand what happened, you need to see Wörgl the way he saw it. A small Tyrolean town in the Austrian Alps, 1 in 3 workers unemployed, the cement factory silent, the sawmill silent. Families lining up outside the town hall, not for jobs, but for soup. The town owed money it couldn't pay, and it needed roads, a bridge, streetlights, projects it couldn't fund. There was work to do everywhere, and workers desperate to do it, and somehow no way to connect the two. The town's savings account held almost nothing. Its unpaid bills filled a drawer. Sound familiar? Here's what most people miss about the Great Depression. The problem wasn't that the money vanished. Austria still had shillings. They existed. But they had stopped moving. When people are afraid, they hold on to cash. Every shilling under a mattress is a wage that never gets paid, a loaf that never gets bought, a repair that never gets made. Economists call this the velocity of money, meaning how many times a single bill changes hands in a year. In a healthy economy, money races. In a depression, it hides. Unterguggenberger wasn't an economist. He fixed train engines. But he had read a strange book by a self-taught German merchant named Silvio Gesell, and Gesell's idea was so backwards it sounded like a joke. What if money expired? What if holding cash cost you something, so the smartest thing you could do with a bill was spend it? Remember that 1%. It matters later. In July 1932, the mayor issued what he called labor certificates, because by then the mechanic had become the mayor. They looked like ordinary banknotes, 1 shilling, 5 shillings, 10. But each note had 12 small boxes printed on the back, 1 for every month. And here was the trick. At the end of each month, your note lost its validity unless you bought a stamp worth 1% of its value and stuck it in the box. Hold a 100-shilling note for a month and standing still cost you 1 shilling. Spend it, and the cost became someone else's problem. Think about what that does to your brain. Every note in your pocket became a tiny ticking clock. Saving it punished you. Spending it saved you. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman would later show that people feel a loss roughly twice as strongly as an equal gain, and the stamp weaponized exactly that instinct. A 1% loss you could see coming was unbearable. So people spent. Fast. Workers paid with the certificates, spent them at the grocer within days. The grocer paid the baker. The baker paid his taxes because, yes, the town accepted its own money for taxes, which is precisely what made it real. Some residents paid their taxes early, months in advance, just to get the expiring notes out of their hands. Town revenue, which had been collapsing, suddenly surged. And the town spent that revenue on everything it had postponed. New roads, a concrete bridge that still stands today with a plaque crediting the free money that built it, streetlights, a ski jump, an emergency reservoir. In 14 months, Wörgl put roughly 100,000 shillings of certificates into circulation, and researchers later estimated each note changed hands 12 to 14 times faster than the official shilling. The same amount of money, doing 12 times the work. While unemployment across Austria kept climbing, in Wörgl it fell by roughly a quarter. In 1 year, in the middle of the worst depression in modern history. You've probably done the opposite of this exact thing, by the way. You've held on to money in a fearful month, waited on a purchase, delayed a repair. Everyone does. Which means you already understand, from the inside, exactly what was strangling every town around Wörgl. Word spread fast. Newspapers across Europe called it the miracle of Wörgl. Visitors arrived by train just to watch a town spend. The French Prime Minister came to see it in person. More than 200 Austrian towns drew up plans to copy the experiment. And across the Atlantic, one of the most famous economists alive, Irving of Yale, sent his team to study it, then wrote a book urging American towns to try stamp script themselves. Dozens did. Then, in September 1933, it stopped. Not because it failed, not because prices spiraled, or the notes collapsed, or the town went bankrupt. It stopped because it worked. The Austrian National Bank sued. Its argument had nothing to do with unemployment or bridges or soup lines. The law gave the central bank the exclusive right to issue money in Austria, and Wörgl had broken that monopoly. The courts agreed. The certificates were banned, the 200 towns were warned off, and within months, Wörgl's unemployment climbed right back up. The miracle was, officially, illegal. Here's the twist buried inside that ruling. Everyone assumes good money is money that holds its value. That's what you were taught to want: a strong currency, stable savings. But Wörgl proved something stranger. In a collapsed economy, money that lost value outperformed money that kept it. The dying town with melting money beat the stable country with sound money. Because a bill's worth isn't just what's printed on the front, it's how fast it moves. John Maynard Keynes saw it too. In 1936, in the most influential economics book of the century, he wrote that the future would learn more from the spirit of Wörgl than from that of Marx. The crank with the expiring money, Keynes believed, had understood something the entire financial establishment had missed. And once you see the mechanism, you start noticing it everywhere in your own life. Your airline miles expire, so you book the flight. Your gift card has a deadline, so you spend it, usually on more than the card covers. In 2020, several governments issued stimulus vouchers with built-in expiry dates, and China tested digital money that vanishes if unused. Wörgl's stamp, rebuilt in code. Even the boring version touches you every month. Inflation. Every year, your cash quietly loses 2, 3, 4% of its buying power. You are already holding melting money. The only difference is that nobody prints the stamp on the back where you can see it. That's the uncomfortable inheritance of Wörgl. The system didn't reject expiring money. It rejected honest expiring money, the kind that showed you the cost of standing still instead of hiding it. Your money already melts. The stamp just made it visible. So what do you do with that? Not print your own currency, because that part is still very much illegal. But the principle survives, and you can flip it in your favor. Money you intend to spend should move into the repair, the skill, the tool, the position, because idle cash in a fearful season is exactly how whole towns starved next to full warehouses. And money you intend to keep shouldn't sit as cash at all, because cash is the one thing guaranteed to melt. Many investors believe that's the entire quiet logic behind owning assets. Not greed, just refusing to hold the ice cube. One last thing. Unter Guggenberger never patented anything, never got rich, never held office again after the ban. He died in 1936, the same year Keynes praised the idea he'd borrowed. But the bridge his melting money built is still standing in Wörgl, carrying traffic 90 years after the shillings that were supposed to be the strong money stopped existing entirely. In the winter of 1932, a railway mechanic printed money that was designed to die, and it turned out to be the only money in Austria that actually lived.